are back, and we're doing some fake jury trials. So basically, I set up a series of cases, and I gave them to my friends, or I asked them what kind of cases they would want to take on. We have some interesting things going on here. So, to start, we have the first case, which is the people of Gotham versus Batman. So the city of Gotham is suing Batman for damages, including property damage and a strain on the medical system through wanton violence. Chris is the prosecutor. His goal is to prove that Batman's violence and destruction was unjustified or unnecessary. Sean is defending Batman. He's saying that while these offenses may have happened, they were necessary in the course of fighting crime.
Yes.
Basically, the rest of the people are going to be the jury. I'm going to be the judge. I will not be taking part in the jury unless we have a tie. So let me get my phone so I can time these things. Prosecution, you have 5 minutes for your opening statement. Let me know when you're ready to start, and I will set the time.
Okay, let me just pull up my thing here.
Yes, and if you have any evidence that you want on the screen, let me know so I can switch the scene to show the evidence on the screen.
Yeah, we could put this on the screen.
Okay, yeah. Get rid of that though, like delete that so that way, because that's that had your email address.
Some days be like.
Wasn't mine.
Oh, I thought there would be more to this.
Alright, prosecution, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You have 5 minutes for your opening statement, which begins now.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, people of Gotham City, we meet today to discuss a man, not a superhero, not anyone with superhuman strength, not an alien or some type of, mythological creature, a man. He goes by the name of the Batman. We are discussing whether the damage that the Batman has done to the city needs to be paid for. Should it come out of your taxpayer dollars? Or should it come from him? I want to establish a few key points. So the first thing that we need to realize is that this man is a criminal. Many might call him a hero. However, vigilantism is a very clear crime. It has wrecked entire civilizations. In South Africa, they have massive problems with vigilantism. All right, this is no joke. This is no joke. If we allow this on our streets, if we allow crime, we perpetuate crime. Evil breeds more evil. And so what we see in allowing Batman on the streets, we see two things that happen. We see mimicry. We see folks who dress up like the Batman. We see folks who go out and commit actual, additional, I should say, crimes. They stab people. They kill people. Why? Because they're imitating the Caped Crusader. The other point that is necessary to make, and this is very important, is that any damage which is made by a so-called villain or adversary of the Batman, he takes partial responsibility for these crimes. Because his vigilantism is what leads these people to commit these crimes. And so I have a few here that we can show instances.
Prosecution, you got 2 minutes.
Okay. Do I need to? Oh, you can already see it. So we see here the Batman, one car crash scene caused $1 million in damages in Batman Begins. That's already $1 million. That's one scene. This guy's been doing this for 60 years. These are massive amounts of damage. And I think we all remember this one. Joker blowing up the hospital. Now every one of these is tied to Batman, because Batman makes himself a presence in the city, right? He makes himself noticeable. And then these people rise up to challenge him. And so insofar as they rise up to challenge him, he is the cause of their mischief. He's the cause of their evil. Maybe it's 50-50. Maybe it's 40-60. But it's very clear that he has some responsibility for the actions of these villains. And what's more, Batman very clearly, by the degree, the extent, the sophistication of his technology, it is very clear that he has a lot of money. He has a lot of money behind him, and he also has a lot of technological genius. Now I ask you, if you had a lot of money and a lot of technological genius, how would you go about solving the problems? Because there are real problems in the city. I would think you support politicians, you support perhaps the police force, you give them resources, and then you solve the problems in our society. What do you not do? What would be a foolish thing to do? Well, dressing up in tights and going out and punching bad guys. That is simply not, that ain't it. So.
Thank you.
We actually have a 5-minute timer. I realize we can use this to denote this as well, so we'll visually see.
Okay.
I know, I
Defense.
like seeing Rob throwing out the,
I was trying to give him like.
No, I know.
Let me know when you're ready to start defense.
I'm ready. Now, folks, I may just be a southern gentleman, here to defend a man in a bat suit, but I'm just like all of you. I'm a common clay citizen who walks the streets from day to day, night to night, here on the streets of Gotham, with fear in my heart. Not because of the Batman, but because of all these named criminals going out and causing terrible trouble. The Joker, all his victims, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze. I had a cousin who's now a block of ice. That's not right. But when that crazed villain broke into the opera hall and froze everyone there, it wasn't a police officer who stopped him. It was the Batman. And when Poison Ivy encased all of Town Hall in a wall of thorns, it wasn't the cops who came in to stop it. It was Batman's anti-plant gas that destroyed all the plants. Gorilla Grodd attempting to turn all of humanity into apes was a real plan that was thwarted because of the Batman. And so when the prosecution asks, what is the best way that you or I could solve crime, that could put an end to this horrible streak of crimes that this city so often finds itself afflicted with, I don't think it's something that we can turn to, what we have set up, because, let me remind you all, Batman wasn't always here for us. There was a time before the Batman where we had such vicious, terrible things happen. A beautiful couple, I remember them well. They were dear friends of mine. I'm 70 years old or something. Thomas and Martha Wade. Gunned down in the alley. Horrible. Just horrible. And trying to... Look, do I have to be the one standing here to remind you all why funding the police might not be the most effective way of solving crime? I don't think that's something that's up for much debate nowadays. I think we've put all this money into police already. We could give them ray guns. We could give them tanks. The Joker would laugh. as he often does, at such petty attempts against him. But there's one individual who, time and time again, knows how to solve this problem. And the failure is never on him. The failure is always on us, because what happens isn't that the Batman catches the Joker and the day is saved. What happens is the Batman catches the Joker, he goes to Arkham Asylum, and then he's out. And that's an equation that doesn't work out, because that's a man who did his duty and put the villain behind bars, and then us, the city, has failed to protect ourselves in that instance. And so, when we're asking what the most efficient means is, I think there's one part of that equation that doesn't need changing. That doesn't need us trying to constrain or confine him with more bills, more trouble, more headaches. I think we have another issue, and that's the clear and blatant corruption that plagues Gotham City now, where elected officials will seek more and more money and squander it wastelessly. And so what we have here is a city official asking for even more money, when, quite frankly, there's enough money going to the city.
You're still good.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to. You say it.
I know. Fuck.
You probably have like 5 seconds.
Corruption city, bad. Batman good.
Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Prosecution, you now have 3 minutes for a rebuttal. Let me know when you're ready to start.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You can begin.
That was a rousing defense, attorney. However, I don't think the defense has realized that he's actually making my point for me. I think what he hasn't realized is that there's a good reason why Batman has to be the one to come up with the anti-plant gas. It's because we don't have enough funding to come up with anti-plant gas. There's a reason why these things need to be, figured out by Batman often. It's because the city is dealing with a lot of corruption. You pointed this out in the start, right? Why? Okay, so everybody's corrupt and they're squandering the money. Yes, but if you had the limitless types of money that Batman has, don't you think that you could support clean politicians who could come in and actually make a difference? They could pass laws. They could pass laws that actually solve the problem. Because here's the thing: as much as you might think that Batman solves the problem, Batman's one guy. There's 12 million people in this city, and Batman might be able to handle the worst criminal at any given point. But you know what would be a lot better than handling one criminal at a time? Would be having a city that is equipped to actually deal with the criminal element. And Batman is exhibiting the kind of funds, the kind of resources that this city desperately needs in order that it might be able to solve these problems. And maybe more funding into police isn't in order, but that doesn't mean that the funding couldn't go to the city. That doesn't mean that the funding couldn't go to mental health. That doesn't mean that the funding couldn't go into the hospitals. And this is precisely what we're asking for in this trial, is we simply want money, especially to the victims. There are so many victims. Batman parades around and chooses to deal in vigilante justice. He punches people around. He beats people down. Why does he do this? Why? Because that's his way of fighting crime. But it doesn't seem like a very psychologically coherent way of dealing with these things. It seems like perhaps just a lost soul who's dealing with some deep trauma, and this is his way of dealing with it. And it just doesn't add up, right? ultimately, what we need is we need the institution to be able to solve these problems. At the very least, Batman will not be around forever. And we can bank on that.
Thank you. Defense, you now have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
Okay. God.
You may begin.
I'm beginning now. Okay. Folks, the prosecution makes quite a number of claims. It claims that the city needs more money. It claims that what it has isn't enough. But I think it already does. I think his claims that it's the money that needs fixing rather than... He agrees with me that there are corrupt politicians in Gotham. And he agrees with me that there needs to be change. But I think there's a certain order that needs to be dealt with first. And it's that the corrupt need to go first. Because if we get that part of the equation wrong, then all that's going to happen is the corrupt in power are going to have more money to further maintain their power. And so we live in a flawed world. We live in an imperfect, horrible, rotten world where villains like the Joker exist. And when we live in such a deeply flawed world, what can we do but have flawed solutions? And that's something that, well, everyone here can say, no, we don't want to live in a world that has the Batman. That's not an ideal world. But let it be known that if not for the Batman, I would not be here talking to you as a person. I would be an ape, transformed by the ape transforming ray by Gorilla Grodd, and you would too. Everyone here would be apes. And I don't think funding to the city would have prevented that. Because it wasn't funding to the city that prevented the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne. It wasn't the funding to the city that prevented any of the horrible crimes that existed before the Batman. And these things happen. And all I can say is that Batman seems to be the only effective solution right now, where we still have Gotham City standing, when time and time again all these villains have tried, with tools and technology that boggle the mind, and only his solutions have been effective. And when the flawed solution is the one that keeps the city standing, I think that's a flawed solution that I can support. And so the efforts to get in the way of that, as minor as they may be to a man of talent and wealth like the Batman, are not something that I'd like to support. Because while my cousin may be a block of ice by now, it's something that I know the Batman will be capable of stopping next time. What the fuck am I talking about?
All right. Prosecution, you have your closing statement. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Terrible crimes have been committed. Yes, terrible crimes have been committed prior to the Batman being around. This is true. The question is not of whether the city was already corrupt when Batman got it. The question is, what has he done to change anything? The truth is, his vigilantism is completely ineffective, partially due to the corruption in the city. People get out. He's constantly fighting the same people over and over again, and over and over and over again. And it appears that just beating people up and throwing them back in jail doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's ridiculous, right? It is ridiculous that we need to stop the criminal element first. That's what the defense said. I agree. Do you think one guy in a city of 12 million people can handle the criminal element? I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? This is completely absurd. It is undeniably clear that Batman has completely failed. And not only that, but he has made things worse. Because folks like the Joker, folks like the Riddler, they weren't here. They weren't here before Batman got here. They rose up because they saw someone that they could level with. Right? Batman, in his vigilantism, brings in these mega villains. And you say the police can't handle them. Well, we don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Batman. And the police could handle the element on the street if they had the resources. And the final point, which I've already mentioned, but this is the closing, is that Batman has the resources. He has the funds, and he has the technological prowess behind himself to be able to make a difference. And he chooses to use these, masquerading, parading around in tights, beating people up. He thinks he can beat people up one by one and clean up the city. It's a big city. It's not realistic. And so it's just a very poor solution. And I'm sure that he might have a very good intention. But people who do criminal acts in a well-intentioned manner are still criminals. And when they are criminals, they need to pay for their crimes. And so Batman needs to pay, ultimately, for the damages relating to his crimes, which include over $1 million in just one scene. So we're talking money. And with that money, we can make a real difference. We can make institutional change. The kind that they didn't have the resources for in the time of Martha and Thomas Wayne. But we can look towards a future in which people actually feel safe on the streets. People don't feel safe now. How could they? There's a guy in tights running around beating people up. That's the only form of policing we have. This is not good. This is really ugly. All right? We can change things. We can make a difference. Okay? And ultimately, it starts here, and it starts right now. Every member of the jury, I ask you have a decision to make. Make the right decision. Gotham needs this funding. Gotham can make a difference, and we don't need the Batman, but we need resources. We are dealing with abject poverty. Abject poverty. The taxes aren't going to cut it. But you know who has the kind of money? You know who has the kind of money? Bat. I implore all of you. Make the right verdict. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you.
The defense, you have 5 minutes for your closing statement. Just going to let that run out, and you may begin.
Now, the prosecution alleges that what the Batman is doing is almost an embarrassment to the city. That he's a man running around in tights, and that he's our only defense against the horrible crimes we have to do. And for me, that's not an embarrassment. Because when I go home at night, I still have a home. When I go home at night and I learn on the news that the Riddler had planted 2,700 bombs throughout the entire city, who went and disarmed every single one of them? It was the Batman. And so it's not embarrassment when I think about him. It's pride. Because that man is a citizen of Gotham. Under that mask is a man who is doing his duty, not out of desire for attention, not out of desire for fame, not out of a vicious need or lust for violence, but out of a real drive to make the city better. Because I know that if those 2,700 bombs had gone off, I wouldn't have had a home to go home to. I know that his actions have made the city better. And that's something I think no one can argue with. Because if they did, they'd be looking pretty stupid. And I'd implore them to go and see if they could disarm 2,700 bombs. I'd ask if the police, if we gave them $2 million, $3 million,
Objection.
$400 million.
Can I object to this 2,700 bond number? Clearly false.
No. I was told there would be no fact checking.
Sorry, go ahead.
You may proceed, counselor.
Yes. Thank you. Now, because of all his actions, there's a city to go. He's a citizen of Gotham. He's doing it because it's something he can do, because it's something that makes the city a safer place. The prosecution also alleges that it is the Batman himself who attracts these criminals to Gotham, who makes crime happen here. And to that I say, how can that be? There's crime in every city. You think that, is the Batman in Metropolis? Is that where Metallo is from? Famous villain of Superman who everyone knows. And his actions, like the Penguin, didn't spring up because of the Batman. He's always been in town. And crime families like the Corleones, those go back generations before even my time. I'm 700 years old. And I think...
No fact checking!
That is an actual crime family. I'm almost positive.
Yes, thank you.
No, that's from The Godfather.
Yep. Oh, wait. Wait, who's the one from
Falcone.
fact check? Falcone. Sorry, I had that on last night. And I think, when we're thinking about what we can do to better the city, I think what we have going on right now isn't perfect, but it's better than if any of these other things I'd mentioned had happened. If those 2,700 bombs went off, if Gorilla Grodd's raid had went off, if Mr. Freeze had turned the whole of Gotham City into a block of ice, all of these things would make the city worse. And they didn't happen because of one man, one masked vigilante who I salute, the Batman. And I know that when I ask this jury to make the decision, it's one that they will do, because I know that you are all citizens of Gotham yourself, and you have all been deeply impacted by the Batman's actions. And you've all been deeply impacted by the actions of his villains as well. And I know that everyone has a story. Everyone has a story about a cousin, a brother, some friend or family member who was hit with the Joker gas, turned into a block of ice, eaten by a giant plant. All these things happen, and I know that in none of them did a Gotham City police officer say something. They fuck the police.
What a closing statement. Fuck the police.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I now ask that you deliberate amongst yourselves and come to, you don't have to come to a consensus, but you have 5 minutes to deliberate and discuss, starting now.
Pretty easy call, I know.
Counselor, I would ask you to refrain from speaking during this.
Alright, sure.
Okay, I guess what I have to say is that, like, Batman actively brings, like, balance and justice to Gotham. And I think that, like, the comparison between, like, his villains and, like, these, like, mafia families is comparable. I think that the mafia family is just, like, quieter. Like, organized crime itself is just quieter. So you don't hear about it as much as you hear about some shit like the Joker blowing up a hospital. Like, I think they're just on different scales. And I do think that, like, the Batman actively helps bring justice to Gotham so that one day we won't need it.
But I think that's like the issue, is the whole scaling aspect. Is like Gotham City should be handling the crime families, but they're here because Batman is there.
I would
Not
ask
the crime
the
family.
jury.
No, not
They
the
were
crime
always
families,
there.
but like the Joker, the
Yeah,
Riddler, the
yeah.
Penguin.
I would just ask the jury to remember to base your conclusion on what was presented from the counselors and not any preconceived knowledge. Who made the more compelling
Good thing I
argument?
don't know anything
Well, what
about
I want to know is why do we have some southerner meddling in Gotham business?
That might
Seemed pretty,
He said he was a Southern lawyer.
seemed honest, and he also said it was 700.
Exactly. How can we trust?
And we can't fact check
Can we
him, so
trust
who knows?
Who claims to be a 700-year-old Southern lawyer?
Does the jury need any more time to deliberate?
I don't know, he's taking vote. That's what we're doing?
Basically. But this is time to discuss, what we're saying.
Yeah, what do you feel? What do you think?
Hey.
I'm not I'm just a poor southern boy who moved from Kansas to Gotham City.
What do you think?
He doesn't follow the rules, just like Batman.
Am I part of this count?
You're the jury.
Yeah, you're part of
Well, I wasn't sure what the number was. I wasn't sure like who was.
You're part of the
counting.
jury.
What? Don't worry about that.
Objection, he's influencing the jury with his goatee.
Sorry, sir.
What's the can someone remind me of? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to fucking do the judge.
You're good.
What are you looking at? Problem?
Yeah, I'm looking to see exactly what the problem says. Like, I need the actual wording.
I will say, it is proven that, corporal punishment is not conducive to true rehabilitation. Much of, sure, Batman sends them to Arkham, but we all know what Arkham is like. Beating up people in the street doesn't seem a great incentive to keep crime at a low.
Can I ask a reminder from the judge to use not what any preconceived notions?
Well, he brought up the part about corporal punishment not being effective. That was part of his testimony.
No, he didn't.
He said this guy punches people, puts them in jail, and they get out. He did say that.
I use small words.
Okay.
I don't know big words
I
like
just
corporal.
don't say it.
Oh, I mean, I have my answer.
Does the jury
Thanks.
Oh, did everyone want to know?
Alright.
Yeah.
Or was it true? Okay, I think that Pro's joke is fuck.
Oh yeah, that.
Well, the question isn't did he cause damage. The question is
Should he
was
be
it
held
justified?
responsible? I'm still saying yes. Fuck Batman.
Alright,
Are we voting now, or?
we'll go to the jury. We'll go one by one. Are you ruling in favor of Batman or
What
Gotham
is the
City?
question?
Batman. Oh no, fuck Batman. Gotham City.
I was like, what?
Objection.
I was confused at the problem.
Objection. No take backs.
No, I am on the side of Gotham
Jury
City.
number 2.
City.
Jury number 3.
What?
Are you ruling in favor of Gotham City or Batman?
Favor of Gotham City.
Well, jury number 4.
Oh yeah, no, I read the question around saying Gotham City. Because it's actually just asking should he pay for it.
Well, yeah. Sean's argument was that he doesn't have to pay for it because he was doing it in the line of duty to protect people.
Chris's argument is he's rich
Yeah,
as
I don't
fuck, he
think
should
that
pay
he
for it.
provided a good enough argument to defend the actions.
Honestly, yeah, I feel like
I think.
while the character was there and he got me hooked, there was just no
He didn't
sustenance
actually.
in the...
I think there might be bias among the jury. I'd like to call for a retrial.
But I do disagree that we should be funneling money into
Gotham PD specifically.
police.
They're like notorious.
Yeah.
We can have the defund the police debate at later.
Yeah.
You know?
He's literally a member of the Gotham. He's an elected official. He's the prosecutor.
Unironically, Gotham PD does need to be defunded. They're like the corrupt police department.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about today.
But in a 4-0 ruling, the jury has found in favor of Gotham City.
Pay up.
Fuck.
Pay up, bats.
Fuck. I'm actually Bruce Wayne. Shit.
John, you did great, though.
Thank you.
I think it's just really tough, actually.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, it's hard
He's a
defending
billionaire.
Batman.
So
That's
what?
also
You just
and
said
also
that.
like he does so many good things for the city,
Yeah.
but he only does it as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He only does it through like the Wayne Foundation and shit.
Yeah, and
So I
Batman,
literally
he's
have
just
to
fucking shit up.
I have to defend the only like the maniac when there's the sensible guy donating to 1,200 charities, and I'm like, okay,
What I would have argued, which you started to argue it, and I thought you were going to continue it, was like you brought up the Falcones and stuff, and how they were doing this shit long before Batman was there.
Yeah.
And Batman, you could argue is justified because like you did bring up a little bit, the PD has never stopped any of these villains. Now maybe they exist because of Batman.
Yeah.
But the bottom line reality
I agree.
is
I think
they're
that's
here.
the crux. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
They
here.
exist
I
because of
agree.
him, but they can't handle them.
Right.
The argument
It's not
that you
about
should
facts or about winning.
You could have said yes, maybe they are here because of Batman, but the bottom line is they're here either way,
Yeah,
and they need to be stopped.
that's what I said. I was like the
I
fucking
think you
Gorilla
started
Grodd
to get there.
train.
You started just telling stories that were made up.
No, it's
My
true.
cousin is a block of
2,700
ice.
bombs.
He was trying to win over the jury.
My cousin is a block of ice.
Yeah, that part I think maybe I shouldn't have known.
I think I lost him a bit there.
I was like, how do I object to this 2,700 bombs? It's like, objection, that's ridiculous. Sustained.
You could have said.
But you can't object to the Gorilla Grodd turning everyone into an ape because that did happen.
It's true, it's true. And it never would have happened
All right, so
if
next
it wasn't
we
for
have,
Batman being in the city.
You're saying that
Bringing all
the
these
cops
people
would, if they could just got 5 cents more on their paycheck, they would have been
Yeah.
able to.
We even
do
said
it.
like every city has crime. You point out the city with Superman. It's like, yeah, because Superman's doing the same thing. He's bringing.
I know,
the villains.
and it's weird because I realized that before I brought it up, but I was like, "Fuck, I still."
Can't
kinda
choose
wanna
some like
say it.
unknown city.
It's
What's
Metallo.
What's Nightwing City? You can bring that up.
Nightwing City is the
Nightwing's
blood.
Bloodhaven.
Bloodhaven. Yeah, you can bring that up.
So,
But he's also there.
all right, so
But
we
he wasn't
have
there. I think he moves there from Gotham
he did.
because it's so bad.
Yeah.
So you could say that.
we have Tim.
Anyway,
Anyway,
We have a case of Eve
well,
versus
well,
it was
God.
good. It was good.
hold on, I had fun.
Eve is alleging that her blame for the Garden of Eden incident is unjust. Tim is representing Eve. Claudia is representing God. Tim, you are the prosecutor, so you are going to be starting.
Yep.
Do you need the main screen for any evidence, or you don't? Okay.
I already know I'm going to be ruling in favor of the Batman.
Now I know why lawyers drink. Very stressful.
It is. I was sitting there when you were bringing
Am I
up
not
the
taking
victims,
notes
and I was
there?
like, "Fuck! How do I argue
I would
against
say why not?
victims'
You
families?"
get a
That's it,
rebuttal.
you have to rebut, so
It's true.
you might as well.
I do the piss before we do this, because otherwise I'll have to piss in the middle, and I don't want to get up in the middle.
All right, we're going to recess the court.
You can take a 5-minute recess.
It's either like
Can I
I
make
walk
an
away
early
when
objection?
Claudia's in the middle of talking, or like I just go piss now.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not going to get an opportunity in the middle.
Objection, I need to piss.
Objection. The prosecution
Can
is
you imagine a real
clearly,
courtroom? That'd be hilarious.
clearly not involved in this case.
Objection.
I can't hold it any longer.
So we did receive an anonymous donation for $50. So whoever that was, thank you very much. That puts us at $925 with my $100 donation match of the biggest donation. We are over 1,000 for the year. So we have hit our goal.
Yay!
It's not over yet. If we get past 1250, which is our all-time high, we hit the bonus stretch goal of the Crash Bandicoot marathon stream. So keep spreading the word. Keep tuning in. Especially after this, we have the Jackbox Party Pack, which is arguably my favorite block every year. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
word it makes a difference.
Adam and Eve.
It completely changes the case.
I'm so ready for it.
Christianity.
What? It just does. It changes the case completely.
We're in a paradise.
The first woman ate.
She ate the apple of knowledge,
Yeah.
which God told her specifically not to do.
Yeah.
Alright, so Tim.
Outcast.
Alright. Let me pull this up so I remember the times.
Real hack.
Tim is the prosecution. Tim is on Eve's side. You have 5 minutes for your opening statement, counselor, and your time begins now.
Alright, so first off, what we need to remember here is that we're talking about a mere woman. The first woman. So, we need to give her some leeway here with some of this. It was unclear a lot of what was going on. Uncharted territory, if you will. This was the first time that God had interacted with humans in this capacity. And so, there are a couple different points I'll be hitting on. First, just overall, completely unjust blame that Eve has received. Centuries upon centuries of blame across a whole gender for the act of one singular woman. Absolutely ridiculous. When it wasn't even her full blame, she should not be solely blamed, but she receives the sole blame, unjustly and unfairly, because of how history is written and what the common belief is. First off, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, not the tree of evil, is what we're talking about here. We need to make that point very clear. Next, what we need to get into is that my client was not properly informed at any point. Everything that was said was hearsay from this Adam character that we'll be touching on. The first man, the first human, if you will. Next, we'll be getting to the fact that free will must be exercised to matter. What was the point of God giving Eve this ability to make a decision if she wasn't supposed to use it? What is the point of this? What is this virtue accomplishing? What does it bring to the table? Next, that the serpent merely opened Eve's eyes. It wasn't some deceitful act. He merely told her that if you eat the apple, you will understand good and evil. And what happened? She understood good and evil. The outcome of which was not damnation. But for centuries, people have said, you bear childbirth because of your actions in the Garden of Eden. But it wasn't damnation, because humanity only grew from this. Without this, we would have never been able to understand good or evil. So what would have been the point? She could have never experienced pain without experiencing this. Nothing would have been known. This woman that we speak of, Eve, she was the first seeker of truth and reality. She was the first one to look for knowledge. As we've stated before, the knowledge of good and evil. Something that we would still be in disbelief of. We never would have understood what she did to even be able to come to this conclusion that what she did was possibly wrong. It would have never been able to even be imagined if it wasn't for her actions. So what are we really doing here? We're blaming a woman for leading us down to the road that we're at now? It's absolutely insanity. One individual? Preposterous. And just a few minor details that also should be touched on are that, as I said earlier, Adam relayed this message to Eve. Eve was not alive when this message was said. God never spoke this message to her. So how is she supposed to know that it's truly an almighty message? How is she supposed to know the severity of said message if she was not the one to receive it? She receives it from a man who she doesn't know to be completely truthful in this scenario. No one knows that what Adam says is to complete severity, because Adam said to her, you will die if you eat the apple. But guess what? She didn't die. Neither of them did, because Adam also ate the apple, which is my next point, which is that Adam is also part of this blame. Yeah.
You
As I said, Adam's a punk ass bitch.
Okay. No objection. Defense, you have your opening statement. You have 5 minutes. And your time begins now.
Good evening, esteemed members of the jury, our honorable judge. Today, I am here to represent our almighty God. Now first, I would like to start my statement with a quote from my client. Genesis 2:17. You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die. This is the one law in the Garden of Eden. The one law that Eve and her husband Adam were commanded to live by. They were given one clear rule with clear consequences for disobeying. Now, let's take a little look at the allegations set against my client. Eve is alleging that her blame for the Garden of Eden incident is unjust. Let's break this down a little bit. First, let's define some terms here. Make everything simple to understand. Blame. Now, according to legal definitions, blame is when someone is held responsible for something that went wrong or actions that they committed that could be seen as a mistake, per LSD law. Unjust. Contrary to rights or justice, unfair. And of course, we have to explain the incident at hand of this allegation. Eve eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge and prompting her husband to eat from it as well, thus resulting in them both being expelled from the Garden of Eden. That is the incident that we are talking about today. So, what Eve is really alleging here is that her being held responsible for eating the fruit from the tree is unfair. Now, there is no disputing that this incident occurred. It's one of the most well-documented incidents of all time. And I think even the prosecution would agree with me on this one. And so I say, is it unjust to blame Eve for an action that she committed? Is it not fair to hold her responsible for her own actions? I say no. Per the allegation, we're not talking about reputation here. We're not talking about all women. We're talking about one specific woman. One person being blamed for one incident, eating the fruit, which she knew was against the rules, that my client, the Almighty, set out for her and her husband Adam. She did eat the fruit. We all know this. No one is disputing this. Was she tempted? Yes, of course. I'm not here to dispute that either. We all know the story of the serpent. I'm not saying she wasn't tempted. But she still has to take personal responsibility. We are at all in our lives some point tempted to lie, to steal, to cheat, to rob. Does falling into these temptations absolve us of guilt from these actions that we do commit? Of course not. So I'd like to ask the jury this. What sort of precedent does it set when we start claiming that being held responsible for actions we commit is unjust? And I would like to bring one thing up as well. A quote from Genesis. Genesis 3:2. This is when Eve was speaking to the serpent. The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die." She was well aware of what would happen. She said it herself, that these were the words of God. So I say, it is completely just to blame her for this incident. Again, we are talking about one person, one woman, Eve, being blamed for one incident, eating the fruit. We're not talking about what people are dealing with today, or even what people were dealing with 100 years ago. We're talking about, in the Garden of Eden, what occurred then. So is it unjust to blame her for that? Absolutely not. It is completely just to blame Eve for eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge because she committed that action. And I rest my case.
Okay. Prosecution, you have a rebuttal, and you have 3 minutes. And your time begins now.
Well, so first off, what we need to acknowledge is that, as was previously said, God said this. God did not tell Eve, as the quote stated. Meaning, again, it was hearsay. There was no definitive notion that God relayed this message to Eve. It was from Adam, from Adam's interpretation of God's message. So, you are lacking the divinity to blame solely my client, or to give priority blame to my client, as opposed to Adam, who also, as was previously stated, took part in eating of the apple. Whether it was under Eve's decision or not, he was given the direct command from God, and he still partook in said act, giving him, if nothing else, priority blame on said actions. So, there's one point as to why I believe that my client should not receive priority blame, and it is unjust to the blame. While my client at no point ever said that she did not receive some blame for her actions, because her actions did have consequences, as was stated. But those consequences led to the development and the maturity of human as a society or beings.
My lawyer says,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just it. It really just comes down to that my client can't receive full blame for an act that was not solely hers at the end of the day. While she did make a decision, it was an uneducated decision based on rules that were not made clear at any point to said client. It would be like giving a speeding ticket with no clear speeding sign. You can't do it. There needs to be a sign dictating said speed before you can say that you broke said speed limit. If you're not informed, you can't be held liable. And even if she had some information on said act, it was not from the word of God, this almighty being, who said that she would die if she ate the apple again, to which she did not die. So she was deceived, if anything, by God and not by the serpent. God was the true deceiver. If anything, this was a test to prove the maturity of humans and to bring that virtue of free will to life. This was all part of the plan from the greater being. And again, my client should not receive full blame, thus part of his plan.
I stand. The defense has a rebuttal, and your time is 3 minutes, and it starts now.
First, I would like to say, Eve did die. Is she around today? Maybe she didn't die at that moment of eating the fruit, but being expelled from the garden left them of their immortality they had there, thus thrusting them into their mortal bodies. Again, not at that exact moment they died, but eventually she did die. So, in that the prosecution is clearly wrong. Eve is dead. In another way, she keeps saying that it was unclear. It was unclear. But how can "you will certainly die" be unclear? In fact, I would argue that's a completely clear statement. You will certainly die. There's not a lot of room for argument there. That's the consequences. That is the consequences of the action of eating that fruit. And again, the prosecution keeps bringing up the treatment of women in today's era, which is completely irrelevant to the case at hand. We are talking about one incident, one person in the Garden of Eden. In that time, there was only one woman. There were not women. There was one woman, Eve, who is on the stand today. Also, bringing up Adam. We're not talking about Adam. Why aren't we talking about Adam here? Is Adam in the allegations? Is Adam on stand? Is Adam alleging anything? No. Perhaps maybe he does share the blame. Maybe he does. But that is not the case that we're here to argue today. Maybe we can argue that tomorrow. But today is all about Eve, for the allegations that she said against my client. I'm not saying that he's not at fault at all, but I'm just saying that's not relevant to the case at hand. That's all my rebuttal I have.
Could we take like a quick moment to pause so you can like actually break down the story for me, because I don't really know a lot about it. There's like a lot of like assumed
The TLDR
knowledge.
is that Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden,
Yeah.
immortality, paradise. God said unto them, or depending on, I think certain Bible things, definitely said to Adam, at least
Yes.
Adam.
It was
You can
said
eat from any tree, you can go wherever you want, you can swim in any river, you just cannot eat from the tree of knowledge. And then one day a serpent came down from one of the trees that Eve was eating from and tempted her and said, why should you listen to, like, there's different verses, but basically he said, why should you listen to God? He is keeping something from you. Why is he hiding that truth? And she went and ate the apple. Adam ate the apple. God found out. And that's why we were cast from the Garden of Eden, which is original sin. Which is why Jesus needed to come and absolve us of original sin. That's why he died and was resurrected on the cross.
Eve is the original sinner, is the big part of this story,
Yeah.
which is unjust and unfair.
But
So
we're not
is-
talking about the original sin, we're talking about an incident.
We're talking about the
And
blame.
that's what
Yeah, we're talking
We're
about
not
the
right.
blame.
Blame
And
for
so,
the original
yeah,
sin.
the
And the
thing-
original sin is a title.
TLDR, Eve ate the fucking
Yeah.
apple and got us back.
The thing that I'm getting
Actually never
tripped
done
up
that.
on a
We'll be
bit
living in
is
heaven in
the
paradise.
blame. Tim, I think you mentioned the childbirth being pushed onto women because of this action. Okay. I wasn't sure if
It's
it
all-
was
it's
talking
in the
about
Bible.
that as the
Like,
blame,
Yeah.
being
These are
cast
Before
out
there
of
were
the garden,
darkness,
or,
before
just,
the earth
or just
even
people in
existed.
general being like, man, I'd be
It was
in the
a garden.
Well, no,
Garden of
that's the
Eden
thing
right
that's
now.
actually said is that
Where there was no
man,
pain.
I was gonna say it
child,
was
child,
both.
being
Being
like-
cast from the
There
garden
was two people,
and
right? The first two
women
people,
bear a
Adam
child.
and man and woman.
It would be a 9-month.
They could do
thing.
whatever they
Hey,
wanted.
I
They
just
could
talking
just
about the court case right now, it's not fair to mine.
It's-
You know what
so-
she's
There
saying
you
on
go.
this?
The problem- Adam and Eve.
Yeah, that's not
No,
the
you
tree.
didn't
The tree of
even-
knowledge.
I want to hear the prompt.
The case is just
problem
of talking
I
about
have a
Eve.
problem with the prompt, honestly.
That's what that
Yes.
I
God
agree.
said you can
I'm,
live
I'm
here
playing to that.
forever, as long as they're each the tree of knowledge
The
of good
problem
and
is
evil.
not-
And they didn't want them
Your
to
case
have
is
that
just
burden
Well,
of
I'm
knowing
doing like the
good
exact
and
definition.
Eve is
No,
alleging
Unjust.
that her blame for the Garden of Eden incident is unjust.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
the blame
A snake
on
Help
eating
me.
down.
I think
unjust.
the phrase
That's
help
what
me
interpretation is being
was-
alleged.
Is Satan.
But-
I sent you
In some interpretations, the snake was sent by Satan, the devil.
It gives you good
Depends on which Bible
make
you
good
read.
value.
To tempt
Yeah.
Eve to eat the apple
But I
from
believe
the
for a
tree of
short
knowledge.
trial, one is
She did,
Yeah.
Adam did, and
I
as
gotta
a
get
result,
No,
we were
there's
cast
nothing
from
in
the
the
garden,
garden. It's not a
sent
fun
to
argument
earth,
to make.
and we had original sin.
There's no like
Which is why
Person-
Jesus needed to die and be
personality or
resurrected on the
personal
cross to
belief
get rid of
behind
the
it.
original sin.
If that makes sense.
Right.
Eve
Which is
eating
like
the
what I
apple was
wanted
the
to
original
do with
sin.
this case. I thought it'd just be funny with like this bullshit about like,
It is just the worst thing.
but you should have been probably
No,
pushed
she
back.
didn't.
It's
Some
not-
people
I was like, oh,
It's a lot easier to try and
That was
balance
gonna
everything.
be it.
Because it's a lot harder. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier to try and encrypt anything than it is to
Yeah.
try and
It
like
is.
to
It's
defend
very
the actions that were done against her.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
And then try to
I'll
argue
leave
that.
yourself.
Yeah, it's you
I
have
know
to
this
know
whole-
about
yeah.
We
the
can
information.
break it down.
Yeah.
I think there's a very easy way for you to get out of this,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to.
Fire, you know?
I just think again, we're talking
What
definitions.
they're saying.
We'll take a recess while people are
Like
away
Tim's
for a
trying to
second.
say, like she shouldn't have been blamed so much just for eating.
Are there any
All he is
questions?
saying is like,
No,
no,
you
she
should be allowed to
deserves
ask
to be blamed.
I think each juror should have the opportunity
Yeah.
to ask one question.
Yeah,
That was like,
that's
no,
what the
it's-
argument is.
I don't have
Yeah.
anything good. Like, Latham used to ask good questions.
Shout out to APW. Good
Um,
times.
she's saying like more like defending
You
like
dusted off
God
the
and
Bible
defending,
app on
like-
your phone for this one. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Like,
When she pulled out the first Bible
She
quote, I was
made
like,
a
oh,
really
she
bad
was ready
mistake
for
and
this.
now
Genesis.
They're like constantly.
Right over there,
Yeah,
Genesis
yeah,
chapter
that's
3. I was like, oh shit.
It's
Yeah.
over.
It is a
Bro,
lot.
we're talking Adam and Eve. You gotta bust out a Bible quote.
It's only like 2 pages.
It really is. It's very short. I read the entire
The
thing.
entire
Like,
You could just
it
read
didn't
it.
take that long.
It's only like 2 pages.
Which one is Deuteronomy was the beginning, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No, Genesis was the
Like,
beginning. Deuteronomy
non-fiction.
was.
Like, he's like, quick, quick, quick.
Third, fourth.
And then, like, a
I think
page
it's
later,
like
like, oh, get the heck out.
Pretty good job.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy is the one around the desert.
The Yours is not the important part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened.
That's only
Like,
one.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I'm sure in reality,
Alright,
it's a lot of
So
Genesis,
we're gonna
Exodus,
Yeah.
and I
reconvene.
think is
We're
Numbers.
reconvene the court.
Okay.
Or no.
You
Sorry.
also have the four
So,
apostles, Matthew, Mark, Luke,
The
and John.
prosecution.
That's New Testament.
Oh, that is New Testament.
Prosecution has its closing statement.
Oh, alright,
You have
let's
5
get back
minutes.
into this.
You have 5 minutes, and your time begins now.
So as I said in the beginning, we're talking about a mere woman here. The first woman. The apparent original sinner. This crazy title to give to someone who, again, just was ill-informed, not fully present in this situation, just unfairly blamed for this whole scenario. Just a true tragedy, if anything. But not really, because we got human life from it. Humans got free will. Humans got choice. So again, you burden the question of, was it all part of the great creator's plan? Was this all part of his plan, being the almighty, all-knowing, all-powerful being? Should he have not have known that Eve would have done this? Should he have not have known to not let Eve near the tree? Should he not have known to have told Eve personally? These are all questions that you'd have to ask the creator himself, who then let his creation, humans, then cast aside, again, a whole gender with the blame of this original sin, that they will then bear childbirth and be begrudging this pain that they are forced to bear for the rest of eternity, as far as we're concerned. All because of one act? One act? Really? It's crazy. But again, we're not here to determine that. We're here to say that what is the image that my client has been portrayed from is unjust and unfair, because it is. As previously said, it's not fair to cast blame amongst the whole future of women for the act of one woman. It's not fair to put it in documentation in your biblical scriptures for the rest of eternity to read that all of women are to be blamed for the act of this one individual. What was the point of your creations if you were going to do this? What was the point of giving them this power, this ability, only if you were going to cast blame on them as soon as they took this free will that you gave them, this first decision? It just doesn't make any sense. And again, we can't speak about the situation without talking about Adam, because at the end of the day, Adam does have some blame within the scenario, and for him to receive any blame is more than he receives in common day. It's more than he receives in the scripture, which has my Eve as the original sinner when he partook in the act as well. They both were the original sinners, but only one goes down as the original sinner, with then blame cast upon them. And that's just not fair. It's unjust. It's unjust to give my client the priority blame for a two-person act. Yeah. Kind of all I got.
Would you like to yield the rest of your time?
No.
You have a minute 45.
No, I'll chill and just think about it for a little bit, cook on it.
Sit in silence.
I'll cook a bit, I'll pull out my other notes, see if I missed anything quick,
Do your lawyer make case. He's like, no, well, hold
Can I
on.
object to doing research on the stand?
No, these are all on my notes.
Tim, pull up a picture of God and show us. So we know
Overruled.
Can you paint us the creation of Adam, like, real quick? Can you just, like, paint us the creation of Adam?
No.
No?
I would object to that. What does that have to do with what we're talking about right now?
Sustained.
New third debate, Adam.
Adam. What's his
That's one
role?
thing.
Yo, what's his deal?
I mean, yeah, like I said, as I put it a few times, it comes down to my client should not be solely blamed. She should not receive the full blame for this unjust act. And as the defense had said earlier, Adam had a part in this. Adam is to blame for some of this, which inherently proceeds that my client should not receive full blame, and that any blame that she receives in this regard of full blame is unjust. Any 100% of blame that she receives is unjust. And I'll rest on that.
Well, if I'm ever great at my verses, I mean, yeah.
He takes like a minute pause.
Just looking at his phone. Yeah, I guess that's it.
And it's just like, yeah, everything I already said.
Oh my god.
I don't want to.
It's not the reiteration. It's like a minute-long pause, and then yeah, I mean, yeah.
I guess I got everything.
All right, you have 5 minutes for your closing statement, defense.
What can I say? Free will is the one true gift that God gave us, and Eve executed her free will in that garden by eating the fruit. Yes, she was told no. She did it anyway. Well within her rights to do so. That doesn't mean it's not just to blame her for that. Again, you keep saying this mere woman is to be blamed for not just this incident, but the prosecution keeps bringing up things like reputation of women today. We're not talking about reputation of anybody but Eve. And even in that, we're not going into any sort of smear campaign against her. We're just talking about simple blame for one incident. The allegation itself states she is alleging that the incident within the Garden of Eden, in Eden, her blame for that is unjust. The incident that occurred within the Garden of Eden was her eating the fruit. And again, I say, is it unjust to blame her for doing something that she did? Is she solely to blame for that? Maybe, maybe not. But again, the allegation doesn't say that she was solely to blame, but simply that she is to blame for part of it. I mean, it doesn't say that, but it doesn't say solely to blame. And once again, the idea that things were not clear, she didn't know this, that this was all hearsay from Adam. I just want to reiterate this quote from Genesis 2:3. The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden." The tree of knowledge in this case. Maybe she heard this from Adam, but either way, she knew where it originally came from. And she knew that that was the one law in the garden. She said this to the person who was tempting her, the serpent. She was well aware of this fact. And she still ate the fruit. I'm not saying she's to blame for all the women's problems today. I'm just saying she is to blame for eating that fruit. Adam ate it too? We're not talking about Adam today, I say. We are simply speaking on Eve. She is the one throwing this allegation against my client, our almighty Lord and Creator, God. I yield my time.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you now have 5 minutes to deliberate. Please keep your deliberation on the cases presented and not any sort of outside of preconceived notions.
How are we feeling about this one?
You deliberate.
I mean, what is this? Your filibuster over here? We're discussing.
Oh yeah, we got full
we're
team over
discussing.
here.
Yeah, you're
People over here. What are you doing?
Alright,
You're
how are we
sitting in the
feeling
corner.
about this one, team?
I think
Fucking gremlins.
there was discussion about what the blame is, and it was thrown around that it was like, oh, childbirth, oh, like just a like getting us kicked out of the garden,
Yeah.
everything like that. And I mean, the prosecution is like,
Anyone want
He's-
more cake quick?
I'm good. The prosecution's stance was pretty much like Eve is not solely to blame, which I don't think anyone can argue. That's like she is not solely to blame, but I don't know if that's the blame. Like no one is like Eve did
Like if
this,
two people
and-
commit a crime, they both go to jail.
Yeah.
It really is
I guess the
irrelevant
question
whether.
is, why isn't Adam getting more of the blame?
We have to.
Which
But
kind of is. It's saying, like, is Eve's blame unjust? Which it could be.
Yeah,
It's
I
saying,
guess.
like, Adam's part has been shifted onto her. Like, she's.
Yeah.
Okay,
named
I'm
it
not-
the whole
point.
bunch.
I'm not up to date on my Bible study.
Me neither.
It was pretty much
How much did Adam know about the fruit that he was being given by Eve?
I think
I knew about it.
Did he
Yeah,
know
he-
that it
he
was
did,
that
yes.
specific fruit?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It
But I
wasn't
mean-
like, hey, take a bite of this, haha, got you.
Also, it's like, I mean, from his perspective though, like, his word from God to him was, "You're gonna die if you eat this fruit." And he just watched Eve eat the fruit. So at that,
Maybe he was just
Yeah.
thinking,
so maybe he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
thinking like, "Oh, it must not be the fruit because she's
Yeah.
not dead." If he has that trust in God, and I mean, one of the things I don't know, some part of it was brought up is God's role in this, which is, I mean, if he is omnipotent, if he is all-knowing, then he knew everything that was going to happen. So his role in
Then
that,
you can't bring this up because it wasn't brought up.
it
I
was
agree.
Yeah,
I,
it was.
I,
the
free will,
omnipotence,
free will.
yeah.
How dare you? I did bring it up.
Yeah, the
He
omnipotence
touched
was
on
brought
it
up.
briefly. Said, "Was this part of God's divine plan?"
yes.
he didn't say that he was all knowing, though, did he?
So,
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
He's got.
Yeah,
And so it's just like,
All powerful.
yeah,
The words divine
Almighty.
plan.
Almighty.
divine
That
plan
doesn't
was
mean he knows it.
I mean,
That just means
What do
he
you think?
I wouldn't describe you as almighty, Chris.
correct.
But it's tricky because it's like, is the blame unjust? Because it's accurate that Eve ate the apple, and the consequences were a direct result of her actions. That's not something we can argue.
Yeah.
That's true.
I feel like that's
So it's
the
like,
problem.
But the problem
people, like,
is it
bad
unjust then if
Like being
Adam
able to
doesn't
judge
have any of
somebody.
the blame and
What
God
they do.
doesn't have any
She
of the blame?
gains that ability
Like,
after he
yeah, you can.
So it's almost
Because
like,
it's part of his divine plan.
like an awareness of the world that she
Yeah, this is
doesn't
like,
have
I feel like the
before.
argument that should have been made.
Oh,
But really
She
wasn't.
gains
You know,
Like, I
Like,
somewhat see your
the
point,
idea is that, like,
but
all
I'm
humans
I'm
have
not sure
this
that that was
knowledge.
the argument.
I can agree.
Because
It was something I
Yeah.
was thinking
she-
of, so I was, but I
Yeah.
was like,
So because Adam
I
and
see
Eve
that.
both
The
agree
problem-
I think that's by far the strongest.
But they're
It's
saying,
not like
like,
Eve was put
she's
like
getting blamed
lost the
heavily.
contract.
No, no,
like,
I'm listening.
Like
But,
with the Kanye West thing, like he lost
to
the contract
say,
with Eve as a result of his words. So he can then sue Adidas
Yeah.
with the principal.
Yeah,
and this is what
I thought
happened.
this was not
Yeah.
allowed.
Why is it
God's
allowed?
the word.
No. I'm like just prefacing like the idea, like of
That is very suspicious over here.
He did bring up though,
Yeah.
like about Adam and about God and stuff. And so I think
Yeah.
that is part
I'm
of
not
it.
sure though. He didn't really provide any evidence that like Eve is disproportionately accused of taking the blame and Adam doesn't take the blame.
No, he was like, all women
Because
now suffer
she
because-
even said, Claudia even said like Adam very well could be blamed, but it's just not like a part of the blame.
But like,
So,
if we're
it
being
is part
real here, like, I actually didn't even know that he also ate the fucking apple.
That's relevant because like he doesn't get any of the blame for it.
Yeah.
And so like,
Well, that's just.
Well, while the original sin was both of them being cast out and losing the immortality,
the original sin
really
was
the only
yeah.
sin was bestowed on Eve.
Why do you say that?
Well, no, because the original sin is her being
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, but that was the whole, like, the labor of pregnancy was the punishment for eating.
It wasn't the only one. Yeah, there's a bunch of
Fine.
punishments that are given to both of them.
Yeah,
Like
but,
you have to toil in the fields and
yeah.
but,
But, I
you know,
mean,
you're
Ladies
one
and
step
gentlemen
further.
of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
No, we're still talking.
Yeah,
we got like another
we
3
got
minutes.
we got a few more minutes. And
I will. We can write another 5 minutes of deliberation.
All right, sweet. Thank you, Judge. Your Honor.
Only one using the honor this year. Let me see.
I said judge first.
Don't
Don't get thrown out of here.
You are asking him for a favor.
But no, I think like
Yeah.
Whereas like this,
I was originally gonna be like this. This is
Yeah.
very much
Right.
easily like on God's side. Because
Yeah, I
like
think
yeah,
maybe
no,
just
like
stated in the, like,
she she
said
she
don't do this,
and even like that Claudia mentioned like Eve had a good understanding, like Tim was bringing up, this came from Adam. Adam told her.
Adam told us.
Is that what we're
But
talking
when
about?
she talks to the snake,
But
she's
it-
like, she gives a perfect recollection of like what the plan is, like what would happen. She doesn't have ignorance of it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she knows it's from God. She
Right,
knows all that
exactly.
stuff. But the only tricky part then for me, which I guess means the definition of unjust in this, is like she's the only one getting the brunt of the punishment, and therefore the blame.
Societal blame.
Yes,
It's all on you.
Which I think is where Tim was bringing the argument.
about Adam.
No, about women
Right.
today
Oh, yeah.
So I guess the
still
question.
facing that.
Right. So I guess the question is like, do we actually think that the society uniquely blames?
Well, yeah, because like they, if we're following the
Yeah, they're
order,
having a similar
then
I feel like they're having a
child.
similar argument compared to what
Yeah.
we said.
Well, no. Again, I mean,
Well, yeah, he's saying that
there's a
there
million
were other
punishments.
punishments.
Right.
Yeah,
Where
and
the-
some are going to
what-
Adam.
Yeah.
Oh,
what
you're.
you're saying, but
I thought.
Like
I
working in the field
Like,
was
that's
Adam's
But they
punishment,
didn't
while
even
that blame.
Eve
Bring
was.
that up.
They did not bring
They
that
didn't
up,
bring
so
that
I don't
we
know
can't
any.
talk about it.
Yeah. And then
Me listening to that and not knowing
Yeah.
anything about anything was just like the punishment
she's the one
is
that
being
influenced.
cast out, comma,
Wage.
childbirth.
Yeah.
Because
Like if you shot someone like
well,
Yeah.
not me.
like baby
Oh,
so
God.
I'm not quoting that.
Yeah, right.
I think
Okay.
I would lean like towards Tim's side, and it's not
Yeah,
because I
I
moved
think-
over, because like I
So
would
we have.
love to
So there's two questions.
Yeah.
There's one question which is,
Right.
Um,
I dropped it.
is it just on its face, right? Like, God Eve,
Punishing
right?
just
But then there's this other question, which is, well, is it unjust if Eve is punished more than that?
I was gonna say, does
Right.
it matter the proportion?
So what's interesting about this though is like, say that God chooses not to punish her. That doesn't mean that Adam didn't do anything wrong. That just means that maybe Adam, for whatever reason, got mercy, while Eve got justice. And that might, you know, that might.
That would be unjust then. If
Yeah, if
Eve
he got
did
mercy and she got justice,
for the same crime.
I disagree.
you wouldn't consider that unjust on her part?
You literally just said she got justice, and then you said it's unjust.
Well, okay, because in
Because you could say,
If she
because
did
now
not,
I'm God
she might say, like,
serving out justice.
Have you ever
You
heard
could
of,
say,
you know,
unjust
well, I
free will. God's still like saying,
I think we're kind of making
Jesus says a parable where workers come up and he says, you're going to get a day of pay, right? And then they start working, and then some workers come 2 hours before the end of the day. He says, come work for me. And then at the end, he gives everyone a full day of pay. And then the workers that start
he was the one that later on
like,
said,
did you not get enough? And he says, what are you talking about? Like, I'm the one giving you the money. If I want to be more merciful with some, I can. That doesn't mean I'm not being just to you, right? So that's like the central argument here, is like, to me, we're literally saying he was just in one case, he was merciful in one case, in the other case. So that's not just. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it's literally self-refuting. Because you use the word justice.
No, but it's like I'm the judge in this, and I have in one case someone walks into a home, shoots a family of 6, and walks out. I see them. I say, here's your 20 years of jail time.
And that's just.
I'm saying,
Because, like, I would argue maybe it should be.
yeah, it should be more.
I might be going too far with it because I'm kind of getting.
I should understand that because I don't know the
I still
whole
think
story.
again,
I'm not Christian.
again,
I
Adam
don't
is
believe that.
in the
I don't believe Adam and like
Yeah.
So in my religion, just like why? What is God? Like what exactly is that? Why you not follow? Is it just if you follow that? People nowadays don't have like they don't know pain. They don't know like they don't have to tolerate the pain. That's it.
for, you know,
Yeah.
if you go
I don't
Yeah,
disagree with
because
what you're
you
saying.
eat that,
You get
and then
on
now
life,
the people have
and
to
you get
like
hurt.
get to
You
every
get
single
part
thing
operated.
worse in the
If
world,
they,
and then they have to
know
tolerate
they ran
pain,
that ride,
every single like,
They'll be
level of the
expected.
pain.
But the question isn't whether the people who
So
come
this
after
frame of
got
reference-
That's
screwed.
why I don't know who eats
Like,
first,
you can-
and then go like that.
That's part of it though, is him being like, no, actually,
where there's
it's
having their own
good.
pretty own
Yeah.
way.
We have free will and
Yeah.
human
Yeah,
innovation.
because in my
It's a
religion,
trade-off.
we don't have like right or wrong.
Because we
You
gave
can
up
give
the
up something
mortality
that
and sanctuary.
I think that
Right.
I think that's a weird part of
It's
it.
like saying,
Yeah, I don't think it
all
falls
the way
into
goes
that.
down
Yeah.
to
I
right.
mean,
I think
It's
it's
Why do you think
like-
that?
Yeah, we're sat,
Yeah.
like, we're talking about this.
It's like a trade-off, right? Like you get to have the knowledge
So it ended up being good. Yeah, I mean, you could argue that. Obviously.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
you know,
and
if
she
we're going to
passed
reach
exactly
over if you're
her
still
thing that does
make
prove
it debatable.
free will. They should
Yeah.
make a
Okay.
decision.
Yeah,
about
because
it.
if, you know, if God
It seems to me like everyone
why
probably
would you
has
do
kind of
that?
where they stand,
Yeah.
even if like
Yeah.
there's more to talk about or whatever.
There is a lot.
I know what I'm.
Even if there's some flexibility in
Yep,
like
exactly.
where you stand.
You wouldn't allow that to happen.
Can we reconvene the court, please?
I get this.
Yeah.
I don't like this case.
So we're gonna go juror by juror. Juror 1, do you rule in favor of Eve or God?
I think I'm gonna have to go with you.
Juror number 2,
God.
What? I'm not sure.
juror number 3,
Thank you. I'm going with Tim and
juror number 4. So, in a,
Argument is just,
What do you
hold on. I feel like we're not talking about what happened up there. I feel like we're talking about our own personal
That's
feelings
what she
here.
was
But
saying, yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
just
but he-
think was she wrong.
Somewhat
She
true,
the-
yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm saying we're not talking
In a
about
3-to-1
the words set up
ruling,
here.
It's so shocking to me, to be honest.
I don't know. I feel like there were a lot of different ways that debate could have gone.
They really like talked themselves
Can I
into it.
also say, Tim, like, did say something to me, but, like, nothing that he said to me before was mentioned during this.
I would say
Like, this was a
as
whole
well.
separate argument that he came up with.
I would object to this jury. I would object to a specific juror.
But, like, none of that was brought up. Like, none of it.
what?
So, like,
nothing
if
that
we could
he,
just
like,
say
already,
to
like,
you guys,
tried out on
maybe
me.
I'm curious
Oh,
what you guys
honestly,
he was like spitballing.
So-
what their reasoning
Yeah,
was.
so we're gonna hit a quick BRB while we get set up because I want to bring those chairs in and stuff. But you guys can keep talking. We're gonna BRB real quick.
So their whole thing is essentially just that, like,